What's up guys, it's Lord of the Cubes, and in today's video I'm just going to be showing off my collection of the mf8 icosahedral puzzle series. No, I'm not going to spin a cube in the intro because it took very long to actually get all of these to fit on screen at the same time. But basically, mf8 released a series of 5 icosahedral puzzles. This series did not include AJ's Clover Icosahedron, which is why it's not in this video. I actually finished collecting all of them a few months ago, but I was on break from YouTube at the time. So now I'm going to be making a video about all of them. This all started when I bought the mf8 Radiolarian 2. You can tell it was actually one of the first puzzles I stickered by hand because the placement of the stickers on the wings is not the best. This one's actually starting to peel off a bit. You can also tell that I stickered this before the summer of 2024 because now there's a standard color scheme for icosahedral puzzles, and it does not look like this, it looks like this. But at the time, this was just my personal color scheme that I was using for whatever reason. I solved this puzzle and it took 18 hours. And the reason it took 18 hours is because mf8 fricked up when making one of these, and it can't turn counterclockwise on any of the faces. It can only do clockwise turns. And the puzzle's still fully possible to solve because you can just do 2 clockwise turns to do a counterclockwise turn. However, it's just really annoying, so I don't recommend buying this. I hope that message was useful to the 5% of people that actually watch past the first 30 seconds of my videos. But at the time, I bought this puzzle simply because I didn't have any icosahedral puzzles in my collection, much less a face-turning icosahedron, and this was an easy way to get my hands on one. I had already solved every other face-turning platonic solid. I made a YouTube short about this at the time, so I wanted to finish off my collection of them with this puzzle. And a really interesting property of the face-turning icosahedron axis system that doesn't actually apply to any other platonic solid is jumbling. This puzzle can jumble. As you can see, the puzzle is able to jumble if you align this face just right. You can turn this like this. And this is a property of all face-turning icosahedral puzzles that are deep enough to have corner pieces, which I think is super cool. Like I said, this took 18 hours to solve, and I'm never scrambling it again, so yay. The next puzzle in my collection of mf8 icosahedra is Eitan Star, which is actually similar to the Radiolarian 4, but just a bit deeper. You can see that there are actually a few shared piece types. For example, these small edges are similar to these edge pieces, these corners are the same, and these thin triangles here are similar to these kite-shaped pieces on the Radio 2. The difference is that on this puzzle, these edges are hidden, and this also has these movable centerpieces. There is one cut depth of icosahedron between this called the Radio 3, but that has not yet been mass-produced, so I guess we just have these two for now. And this puzzle actually turns much better. In fact, I think this is the best turning puzzle out of all of mf8's icosahedral puzzles. As you can see, it can turn counterclockwise, which should be a really low bar, but for mf8, it's really not. And of course, just like the Radio 2, this puzzle can jumble. If we align it like this, we can do something like this, and it can jumble. See how easy that was to do? I love this puzzle. This one can actually turn well. These corner caps can actually pop off quite easily while solving, but it's pretty easy to just stick them back in. I could super glue them, but I'm afraid it'll get into the screw, which is beneath this corner cap. Sorry, the camera focus got a little wonky there. I'm pretty sure that you can't get any of mf8's icosahedral puzzles anywhere now, but if you could, this would be one of my strongest recommendations for an icosahedral puzzle. The next icosahedral puzzle I bought was this, the Icosaix. It can turn on the faces like this, and it's quite similar to the Radio 2, except of course, there are 2 main differences. The first one being this puzzle can actually turn counterclockwise, and the other difference is that this puzzle has overhangs on the corners, and the purpose of these is to hide these, which are the tiny edges on the Radio 2. These tiny edges make solving a Radio 2 really freaking annoying. It took me like 2/3 of the solve time just doing commutators over and over again for these wings, so I really recommend the Icosaix over the Radio 2 for both of those reasons. And of course, like the Radio 2, the Icosaix can jumble if we get it to be the right angle. That looks aligned, and now we can do something like this. It can jumble. I did push the limits of this to test the full extent of the puzzle's jumbling capabilities. You can see how I did that in this YouTube shorts, and shortly after that it broke, so maybe don't go that far with the mf8 one. And it also just looks nicer. I mean, look at this. I actually did an amazing job stickering this. Like, I'm so proud of how this turned out. If only I did the standard color scheme, but it wasn't around yet. Solving this is actually really fun. Now that the small edges are eliminated, you can just solve it using basic block building until you get to the final corner. And I wish a speed version of this was made because I would spend all day solving it. The Icosaix is one of my favorite puzzles in my collection. It doesn't turn quite as well as Eitan Star, but it still turns pretty well. One thing I should note is, well, I guess two things I should note. One, the corners can twist very easily, so that's something to avoid. And two, especially when you're jumbling, it can be quite easy for the inner small edges to get like misaligned and or pop out of the puzzle. In fact, I've had a couple of these break while turning the puzzle. They just kind of fell out of the puzzle when I took the caps off. But it works fine now, so I don't know how necessary this outer part of them was in the first place. And unfortunately, some of the stickers did get damaged in the process of fixing it, which is, you know, very sad. I might re-sticker this someday, but if I re-sticker this, I'm gonna have to re-sticker the whole series, and I don't really want to do that. Like I said, this is one of my favorite puzzles in my collection, and you know, I strongly would recommend this if you could still get your hands on one. I also gave this puzzle its own video around the time I first got it, so make sure to check that out. It'll be in the info card and the description. But the fun thing about the Icosaix is that it also has a doppelganger, the mf8 regular Astrominx. This puzzle looks identical to an Icosaix, but instead of being a shallow face-turning puzzle, it's actually a deeper cut corner-turning puzzle, and it turns like this. So because of that, it has the axis system of a face-turning dodecahedron, the dual of an icosahedron. Because of this, it cannot jumble, and it's a shape mod of the mf8 Starminx, which I have not solved since the last time I scrambled it. Surprisingly, the dodecahedral version, for some reason, actually turns worse than the icosahedral shape mod of it, which looks much nicer, let's be honest. Just like the Icosaix, this puzzle is very aesthetically pleasing, and sometimes I grab the wrong one off the shelf when I'm talking about it because they look identical, and I don't realize until I try to turn it. In fact, this has actually already been a problem in a couple of my other videos. I love puzzles that look exactly the same but turn differently. Most collectors do. And now that I had 4 mf8 icosahedra, I just had to grab that last one for my collection, which is the mf8 Icosamate. Now, I did make one of these a long time ago with some files I found off of Thingiverse. However, it was really crappy, and it was based off of the mf8 Void Pentultimate, which is, you know, really crappy. So I ended up trading it for a different puzzle, and now I have this one. Oddly, this is the only puzzle in which they included a logo on one of the stickers. All of the other puzzles you see here had logos as separate stickers that you could choose whether to stick on the puzzle or not, and also the stickers were rectangles that didn't actually fit on the pieces of the puzzles, so I don't know why they would do that, but on this one, they got it right. Again, this puzzle looks super nice, super happy with it. This one I actually did sticker after the color scheme was made, but I just wanted it to match the rest of my mf8 icosahedral set. After this, all of my future icosahedral puzzles will be stickered using the standard color scheme. Like the Astrominx, the Icosamate is in fact a corner twisting puzzle, and it uses the geometry of a dodecahedron, so obviously it can't jumble. This is basically what a skew would be like if it was an icosahedron. It's a deep cut corner turning puzzle. As I said earlier, this is equivalent to a pentultimate. However, this one doesn't use a void mechanism like the other one Shengshao made, but instead it uses a shells mechanism. It turns much better as a result, and I feel like mf8 should just make an actual pentultimate based on the Icosamate's mechanism at this point. But let's be real, they're probably not going to do that. I don't think they care much about this series because they haven't been producing them anymore. As you could probably tell by the thumbnail, I just love to line all these puzzles up and look at how similar they look. Even if the color scheme isn't the standard one, it just looks really nice to see them all next to each other. And that's pretty much all I've got for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Keep an eye out for more icosahedral puzzles in the future. Subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and on that note, this is Lord of the Cubes, signing off. As you can see, the puzzle is able to jumble. Look at me, I'm jumbling, yippee!